We've heard some wild origin stories before, from people pulling rabbits out of hats to finding Nemo in the mail. But one story takes the cake. It asks about a secretive team of code breakers who worked in silence, so they could share intelligence with their allies. They were led by a genius mathematician named Alan Turing, and when their mission was complete, they erased all evidence of its existence. We're gonna tell you how these secret code breakers impacted the course of history. And if we hadn't found their story, well, it may have been lost forever. Imagine a world where everyone is just tapping on their phones. You're glued to yours too, right now. Well, that's the world we live in today because of one man's genius. His name was Alan Turing, and he was a mathematician during World War II. But he wasn't your average math whiz. He was interested in the mind and thought a machine could be made to think like us. Today we know him as the father of artificial intelligence. But back then, he was just a guy trying to crack a code. It all started when Germany started using a new encryption machine called Enigma. It was good at two things: encrypting and decrypting messages. Basically, it scrambled them so only the person who received the message and had the correct key could unscramble them. You see, no one wanted their battle plans falling into enemy hands, so both sides sent coded messages instead of speaking openly. Enigma was so complicated that German commanders thought it was unbreakable. That meant Allied leaders like Winston Churchill couldn't read any of their messages, and even if they did, the enemy could change the key whenever they wanted, making the previous intel useless. Something needed to be done, and fast. In 1938, Britain's government code and cipher school reached out to Turing for help. They'd already captured an Enigma machine from the Germans and spent months analyzing it. Their goal was to build a machine that could decipher the encrypted messages. The British called it breaking the Enigma code, but the real work was just beginning. When Turing arrived at Bletchley Park, the headquarters of the secret code-breaking operation, there were already a lot of people working on it, but they hadn't come close to solving the problem. The Enigma code was too complicated. It used 3 rotors, which were basically wheels covered in letters, and moved so fast that traditional methods of code-breaking wouldn't work. But that didn't discourage Turing. Instead of continuing the work that had already been done, he decided to start over and do it his way. To understand Turing's brilliance, let's look at how code breaking normally works. Let's say you want to keep the fact that you like pineapple on pizza a secret. You can make a substitution cipher. In this one, P equals J, equals O, and so on. Now your friends can't figure out what you're saying, but you have to remember that whole list of codes. It's annoying, but not that hard. The same goes for simple ciphers like Caesar's cipher, where every letter is shifted 3 spaces down the alphabet. It's still annoying, but if you figure out the pattern, you can decode the message pretty easily. However, the Enigma code wasn't like that. It was infinitely more complex. Its rotors spun so fast that the cipher changed with every letter. Even if you knew the substitution code, you wouldn't be able to use it for very long because it would change the moment you tried. So here's how the Enigma machine worked. Each rotor had 26 electrical contacts, 1 for each letter of the alphabet. When a letter was typed in, a current ran through the machine. That sent a signal to the first rotor. Since the rotors were connected to each other, the signal bounced between them until it reached the last one, which had a lamp board with 26 bulbs. The contacts on the final rotor lined up with the bulb board so the light flashed next to the corresponding letter. That's the encoded message. The Germans changed the key by rotating the rotors, which changed which letters were connected to the light board. And since they changed it daily, you'd never know what message was coming. Now, if you don't love science, you could probably stop understanding the rest of the video right about now. But if you're still with us, let's take a look at how Turing solved all of that. At first glance, it looks like the Germans created an unbreakable code. After all, the Enigma machine could generate billions of different settings. No one could possibly keep track of them all, let alone crack them. And that's why most people didn't even try. But Turing was different. He saw a challenge and a puzzle to be solved. he realized there were patterns in the cipher that could be exploited. For example, the Germans often reused the same code for certain common words like weather reports, and they weren't great at hiding their encrypted messages. Oftentimes, they used simple ciphers alongside the Enigma code, making it easier to decode. But to make the biggest impact, Turing needed to build a better machine. A machine that could scan all the settings on Enigma in seconds. At the time, the only thing that came close was IBM's new electromechanical punch card tabulating machine. It could run through calculations much faster than anyone else, but not fast enough to beat the Enigma machine. What Turing needed was a fully mechanical device that mimicked the way Enigma worked. But instead of encrypting the messages, his machine would test all the possible solutions to decrypt them. Turing called it the bomb machine. It consisted of several parts, including 3 main rotors, just like Enigma, along with many auxiliary rotors. And instead of lights, the bombs used paper tape to show the results. Since Turing was using electromechanical parts, the machine wasn't as fast as today's computers, but compared to the competition, it was light years ahead. Here's how it worked. First, the operators fed the bomb up with the intercepted message. Then they set the machine's rotors to the possible solution for the day's code. If the message translated into English, they adjusted the settings until they got a meaningful word. Once they found the solution for the day, they had to hurry up and decode the rest of the messages because the German army would change the key once again. You might be thinking, why didn't the Germans realize that someone was stealing their secrets? Well, because the bomb was quiet. All those moving parts didn't make a sound, which is why Turing's work was kept top secret. At its peak, they had nearly 2,000 bomb machines running night and day, scanning the entire setting spectrum. In just 24 hours, Turing's machines helped break the Enigma code more than 17,000 times. Historians say that Turing's work shortened the war by 2 years and saved millions of lives. But it was still a dangerous job. If the Germans discovered the bomb, they would surely kill Turing and the rest of the team. So they stayed hidden away at Bletchley Park, working in silence until the end of the war. It was only after Hitler's defeat that the British government allowed them to talk about their work. But there was a problem. By then, the world had moved on. The threat of Nazi Germany was gone. And although the code-breaking team had a big impact on the war, it wasn't widely known. The team had worked in silence, so they believed that their accomplishments would remain a secret forever. But luckily for history, it didn't. After the war, a reporter named Andrew Hodges wrote a biography about Alan Turing, which revealed the truth about the code breakers at Bletchley Park. The news spread like wildfire. Soon everyone was talking about the bomb machine and the secret team of code breakers. Turing and his team became heroes, finally getting the recognition they deserved. And it all happened because of one man's curiosity and brilliant mind. Can you imagine a world without computers or the internet? Without Turing, that might have been our reality. But because of his work, we can connect with each other instantly across the globe. If you enjoyed this glimpse into history's hidden heroes, hit subscribe for more untold stories that shape our world. Thanks for watching.